So again, gents, we're back here with Jake, and you already listened to his other answer for the other question that you guys wanted to hear him say and answer. So that being said, Jake, through your years of walking with Christ throughout college and being in the Marines and the fleet, what are some challenges and overcomes of having a family and living for God that you had?
Man, I think the challenges are wide and diverse. The truth is, God wants to grow in your character, and that's going to be a fight. That is not going to be easy. I mean, all the TCF grads that I talk to, that I keep up with, we've all had struggles in our marriages and our relationships. And I think God uses those because we want to please God and we want to be committed there. The Marine Corps, the Navy, and the deployments are going to take a lot out of us and put us in this tension where we've got to balance it out. And so when there is that tension, there's friction, and God works in that friction so that he can make the rough places smooth. And the rough places are when I lose my temper, when I don't feel like communicating, when I want to gravitate to what's easy or comfortable for me. Now, that can at times create separation, and you've got to learn just how to listen to God and how to be a better spouse in those times, and make the most of each situation. My parents got divorced when I was 14, so my example of what a marriage looked like was skewed. It wasn't perfect. It had a lot of flaws, so I had to do a lot of reading. I'm still learning, trying to take lessons from Mike and Marsha, from people who've been doing it for 30 plus years. And I think you've just got to go in and when things get tough, just stay in it. Just stay in it as long as you can, and let God continue to carry you through those hard times. And that's when your faith grows, because you go from depending on what you can do to depending on what God can do. And you go from having fear about whether or not the situation is going to be okay, the money's going to be okay, the promotions are going to be okay, and you're just like, God, where you have me is where you want me to be. And what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to die and go to heaven? Or I'm going to get out of the Navy and the Marine Corps and I'm going to find a civilian job with the alumni network? The truth is, when you're living and you're serving God, God's got you where he wants you to be. So you've got to press in. You've got to get with a family of believers and share life and grow. You've got to, study the scriptures, or, listen to John Piper and Timothy Keller and those who've been teaching for a long time. You've got to continue to balance your life between work and the things that you love to do, because you've got to manage that stress. Life keeps going, and so what you learn where you are sets you up for success when you get on the fleet. It doesn't directly apply, but the same concepts are there. So you've got to manage that a little bit. But the more you learn what's healthy for you now, the more you'll be able to feed your spirit well when you're out in the fleet. And know that God's been faithful in your past. He's being faithful right now, and he's going to be faithful tomorrow and the next day and the day after. So as long as you can keep that perspective and not let the world, the flesh, the devil take that perspective from you, then God's going to use you. God's going to grow you even when you don't feel like you're being quote unquote used, or like you're ministering. So just do your best to stay close to the Lord. Dive in now, grow in your faith now, because that's going to help you be strong in the fleet. And even if you wander away for a little while, you're going to know how to get back close to God if you get close to him now. So I'm actually going to turn the camera around and see if my fellow Marine Matt has anything to say about that. And talk to you later.